Alright, we got Rock and Roll High School, Growing Up During the Decade of Decadence, written by Marissa Tellez, who is a person that I am an acquaintance with that I met on the Sunset Strip. And let's get this spine a little bit. And she wrote this book, came out in 2012. Here's the back of the book. And I've read about a chapter and a half. I'm in the middle of writing the book, and I just wanted to make a video of it. I did skim through the book. Let me get some of this so you can read it. Make sure it focuses. Now I'm not going to obviously show the whole book or even close, because there's no pictures in this book besides the outside. Inside it's all text. And about halfway through the book, she starts including quotes and memories from bands that played the Sunset Strip, and she has them highlighted in black. And so let me see if I can find any of that. There's some of them, like this sort of thing. I'll show you just a little bit of it. Here's the guitar player from Swingin talking about some of his experience. I'll just give you a few of these, like a taste of the book, you know. And let's see if I get a few more of these quotes real quick. Now this is now here's Mandy from the Glamour Punks talking about something. Oops, I'm trying to do this with one hand on this rainy, windy day. All right, give me a little bit of that. Let's get a little. Oh, back here, I mentioned my band Imaginal Peace on. I haven't read the whole thing, so as far as I know, I only seen, just skimming through it, I seen our band and name, and I was like, oh, I'll mention. Let's see, what page was it on? Oh man, oh yeah, here it is. So right here, oh, come on, man, it's a one-handed job. All right, so like here, it's talking about. At the time, okay, so right down at the bottom it says, I think it was Blackboard Jungle or Imaginal Peace. One of those bands were closing. It was actually us. It was they're talking about when about the club, the church that they opened, the Blackboard Jungle, Brett Muscat club with a few other guys. Those are the guys that they're quoting. Is from their standpoint what happened. Let's get a little bit of the beginning of the book here. So. Just so you can get a taste of how the book actually reads. So here's this. I believe there's a foreword from Dave Zink. I don't know if I passed it already. No, it's like next. Let me see here. Oh, here we go. A little foreword by. Let me see if I just grab that. Basically an endorsement. I don't know why you should read this book. Just pause it so you could read the whole thing, you know, when I'm, just pause the video. Oops, I don't want to skip anything forward. Preface, I wanted to grab this real quick, just to, like the meat and the potatoes of the book and why it's made, or that sort of thing. So the very beginning of the book is kind of telling you that sort of thing. Acknowledgement, okay. Here's some of the bands that she's acknowledging that she has quoted in here is Blackboard Jungle, Swingin, Glamour Punks. I think that is the three bands that she's quoting, which is funny because those are the bands that I stood next to when I would hand out flyers on the Sunset Strip. So that's why I know Marissa Tellez, because she was. And I didn't even really realize exactly who she was visiting, but it's or hanging out with. But it was the Blackboard Jungle Swingin guys, who literally is the guys that I'm standing next to handing out flyers. Especially Swingin was always there, Tricks and those guys. But Wikked Gypsy was always the guitar player was always standing next to me. Get that a little bit. All right, let's get a couple pages. Here we go. And so this book is written from the perspective of the Sunset Strip, from the perspective of a scenester, really, like the kind of people that not from the band perspective, but from the people who went there to hang out and have a good time. Because not only were the bands promoting to have a good time on the Sunset Strip, the bands were actually having a really good time on the Sunset Strip, just hanging out and in making friends with the people that are there, because everyone's personalities are. I think that everyone's personalities were very similar to mine, really. I felt very comfortable there. Just kind of normal people with kind of wild hair and just wanted to have a good time. But like this book goes into more of like some of the druggy stuff that's happening behind the scenes. But really, my experiences weren't so druggy, and it's mostly my experience is mostly like handing out flyers, and there might be a guy drinking a beer from Gil Turner's right there on the corner, and just under his coat, or maybe someone's smoking a joint or something. But as far as heavy, I remember seeing Chris from Swingin Thing, the guy that I showed you the quote of in the book. I remember he'd always be drunk, and he'd have a bunch of girls carrying him around. Let me get this page a little better, and now we'll stop it here as far as showing pages. And then she also did the another book after this, a follow-up book that she talks about in the back here. And here's there it is, called Keep Reading for a preview of Walking Contradictions, the Crackpot Chronicles. The amusing sequel to Rock and Roll High School and Growing Up in the Hollywood. So it's a sequel to this very book, and that's what happened after. Maybe I should give you a little taste of that. All right, she's starting off with the Sunset Strip. I did read a little bit of this a few minutes ago, and then basically deciding to move to New York. This is why and how, and she ended up in television after the Sunset Strip. So this will tell that journey more, which I don't know anything. I didn't even know she did any of that. Now I've wanted this book for a while, and I told my wife wanted to pick out her like one present particularly that she wanted for Christmas coming up right now. And so I go, well, I like to pick out one thing too. She said, oh, sure. And I said, this book, the Rock and Roll High School book, because I want to hear the stories. That's why I've been telling stories, because before I got the book, I was like, I like to tell stories, just tell the stories without having to go through the trouble of printing a book and have people purchase it. But it would be cool to make a book, no doubt. But I'm just saying I just want to tell the stories. Maybe someone will actually listen to, if I bring it up, they actually listen to the bands that I was in. Maybe they weren't normally listening to, and they might actually like. Especially if they're subscribed to me, they're probably into the kind of music that I was doing, and the bands that I were in were good. And these bands that were playing the scene were extremely good, and people should know about it. So that's why I talk about it. But anyways, there you go. And I'm going to be making more videos, so stay tuned.